I'm going to be doing a still life of apples. I have 3 apples, which I'm going to set up off to the side and use those as a guide. Now I do have a pencil and I have my soft pastels that I'm going to be using to do this project. I also have soft pastel pencils for minor details, and I've got my apples set up to the side. Now if you're not good at drawing, you can find a picture, trace it onto your paper, but I'm just going to freehand it. And basically they're mostly ovals, and I'm going to start with the center here and kind of rough, and I'm doing it very lightly so I can change it if I need to. And I'm just doing a rough sketch around it. Here there's another apple butting up against it, so I'm gonna sort of take a bite out of that one, bring it around. And then this one is gonna come up and around. And I think, let's bring it down a little lower. And that's another reason you do it lightly, because you can sort of color over top of that. If it shows, you do have an eraser on your pencil. This one's sitting, a little cockeyed. So here's the center, and you almost have like a ring here, but here the apple goes. And as you come around the back, it sort of flattens out where the core is. And this one, let's see, where is that? That's a little bit lower, right about here. And of course, those come out, such as that. This one comes out this way. And of course, this one is hard to see, but it sort of comes out this way. And we can change that configuration a little bit. We're gonna have a table that it sits on. And I don't want the table above, and I don't want it, I want to make sure this one is on it. So we're going to kind of bring that table here. I'm just lightly sketching about where I want it. And then of course the walls behind it. So let's get started with our apples. And like I said, this is a still life, and we're going to go in and start putting in some of the base colors. The color is sort of a yellowish green with the reds. So I'm going to start with the lighter colors, the yellows, and right in here, they're kind of streaked out. I know it's hard to see the color here, it's so light, but we're going to come in, we'll keep building. And then there's a big patch here, and that's sort of where the highlight is, right in here. Let me get some more light on this. And that makes it easier for you to see. And this one is the same thing. The top is more the greens, yellows, and it comes out this way. And this one as well. And let's kind of color this in a little. And you kind of just smear it out. I do have paper towels handy to wipe my fingers on. And everything is kind of going to be kind of rounding from here. It's going to come out and sort of rounding, and the same here. And by doing that, we're going to keep the apple looking more round. All right, I'm going to take a touch of green. I'm going to start with the palest green. And basically, I'm not going to be doing a lot of green. I'm just adding a little so that when it mixes with that yellow, it's that sort of almost lemon yellow. And here, just a smidgen. We can always go in and I can darken it more. This one's got a little more green on it, so I'm going to add a little bit more to it. And that kind of comes out there. And I'm keeping my markings fairly light. I can always go in and dark, and it's hard to take the color out once you have it in. And then of course this one here. Here is the center. And I will darken that core. In fact, I think I'm gonna even kind of pronounce it a little bit with the green. We'll come in with some darker colors. I'm gonna go in to my reds, but I'm gonna start with the light red and then just start bringing that around. And as you come around, of course, you're going to follow the contours. And I'm starting with the one in the back. And the way the light is, it's darkest right here. There's a shadow on it. My light is going to be coming from this direction over. So the back side of it is going to be where the shadows are. And when you're doing shadows, you can do it in contrasting colors, or you can even use sort of a deeper purple mixed in with the reds. But right now, I'm more worried about just getting the white of the paper covered. Where's my yellows? I've got more yellow right in here. Not a lot, but it's, and you can see how it's mixing. And we got a real light spot here. I want to remember, take a look what you're doing. Look at your apples. Right here, it's literally almost white where the reflection is. So you're going to keep that lighter there. And then we're going to bring that up into the greens a little bit. And like I said, make sure you follow the contours. You're coming here, you're coming out. It's almost a curving. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm going to blend that in. But you can see how it starts to round the apple. And then of course down here, it's going to be from this curve. I'm going to go in with a deeper red. And in back here, I'm going to start coming up, and I'm going to kind of outline that. Bring that up so we have a deeper color. And you can leave some of the lines in it. If you look at an apple, you can sometimes almost see lines coming through it. So that's darker. And then, like I said, I'm going to take a little bit of the purple. I'm not going to put much, just barely right along that edge, and I'll bring it up a little more here. And then kind of smudge that in so you've got more of a shadow. And then if I go over it with the red, it'll bring more of the red out, but I want to deepen that so you've got a more of a shadow. In fact, I'm going to bring that shadow almost around halfway. And then I'm going to take the red, follow that, gonna pull it inward a little bit, and then follow that contour. And then kind of bring it around. So you see how this part is shadowed. All right, let's get some more color on these other ones. And let me define this. This is kind of rounded here, almost not quite flat, but all right. If you get a little out of the line, we'll cover that with the background color. All right, let's start on these. This one, there's not a lot of red here, just a little. And I'm gonna kind of round that, but I want most of the lines to come as if they're coming into the center. And I'm actually gonna bring a couple of those lines, not many, towards the center. Okay. Most of that is more to the green. And there's some coming out here. And I'm just looking back at my apple. And then there's a lot coming down here. And if I go a little outside the line, that's fine. You just make the apple slightly bigger. And everything comes back into this center. You can see how I'm always following my lines back into that center. And I'm going to darken that center soon. But and I'm actually going to outline that a little bit. All right. And I'm going to kind of bring that up and towards the center. I'm going to leave a little light area right in here where our highlight is. Always be aware where your highlight is. All right, and then I'm going to take a little bit of the purple, like I did here, and follow that line right here. And actually come below, because there's going to be a shadow on the table, and I can almost pull that out. And then this I'm going to bring up. Where's my darker reds? Bring that in. And all along here it's going to be darker. And everything goes into the center. All right, so I've got that basic color in. We're going to pull out some more details. Let's get this one. And this one actually has a shadow being cast by this, almost in a circular. And I'm just going to dot, dot, dot. This is the kind of shadow that's pulling it in. But I still want to follow the lines going towards the center. And I'm going to actually use a little more of the purple going that way. I'm going to take the brighter colors, and this is coming out and around, out and around. And there's quite a bit in here. There is a yellow area in here, so I'm going to leave that. And then there's some here. And this has a little all right, let's get that blended. Right now I'm just blending the colors all towards the center. And then we'll, remember this is the dark area, the shadow. We're actually gonna go in and I'm gonna actually put a little more of the purple in right here and the darker reds. And that's, you can almost see the circle from the All right, and then I'm gonna kind of blend it into the yellows just slightly so there's no distinct line. Down here, there's gonna be a big shadow on the line, on the table. This is casting a shadow here. And we'll overlay the color of the table with whatever color we want, whether we keep it white or not, but we want that. And we can even take a slight bit of bluish color in there, give it a little more depth. Okay. And this side is gonna have, let me get my purples, let me get my dark reds. This side is gonna have a bit of a shadow since this is, the light's coming from this way. Always remember where your light's coming from. So it's gonna be darker. And I'm just using the deeper red for this side. All right. So now we got our basic apple. Let's fix this one. Get it more rounded on this edge. And this, let me get my brighter red. I'm gonna more define this edge a little. Sort of pull it forward from the back one. Where's my purple? A little more of that in there, deepen that color. Okay, so now we got our basic colors in there. We got our basic shapes. I'm cleaning my fingers is what I'm doing right now with my paper towel. Pick up a little bit of that. So now we're gonna go in and start doing more details. The first thing I wanna do is darken that core. We can do it with black, would work. But I usually like to stay a little bit lighter and then go deeper if I need to. It's harder to pull that color out than to add it. So I'm gonna start with just a little bit of brown. Just doing a little U shape. And then here, same thing, just a little U shape. Here, it's gonna be a little more elongated, not quite a U shape, almost just slight curve of a line. And then I'm just gonna come in and lightly follow that curve. And the same thing here. This one, like I said, it's more of a straighter line. Then I'm gonna come in with my greens and start pulling that out a little more. And my yellows. In fact, I think I'm gonna bring that a little further out. Bring that apple a little bit bigger. And then I'm gonna pull that this way. And then this one, I think, because it's further back, I will go in with my darker color. And just very lightly, just sort of a tap, tap, tap. All right. I'm gonna take, I think I'm gonna go in and use my pencils. Since they're a little more detailed, I'm going to take the green and kind of pull a little stem. I'm going to start with green, then I'm going to go in with the brown. And sort of give a little stem there. this one, I'm going to go back in with a little deeper green. And I'm going to pull the lines out like that. And following those lines. And then I'm going to go with my lighter greens. And then here, there's quite a bit of lighter green and almost into the yellows because it's so bright where the light's coming from. I'm going to go in and we got a little stem pulling right here. Where's my green? Back to my browns and darken it in there. And I've got, this is a rolled paper. You can get this at your art store. You can use that if you have it for these small areas. Or you can even take your paper towel and roll it tightly and go in here and use it. And where's my black? See, now I'm going to go in and darken it even more, but I'm going to kind of just very lightly tap across. Take that rolled edge and just kind of pull it in. Let me go back. I'm going to get a lighter green for that stem. And the same here. And then I'm going to put a little top on it. Let's see, where's my brown? Almost a circular top to it. So we got our center and just fuzzing it out a little bit. I'm going to go back to my greens. Up, put that aside. And the greens start coming out this way. And I'm going to take my yellows and almost pushing a little harder with these, giving it more color. And then here, mixing with the reds, almost an orangey color as it mixes. Back into my reds. I'm going to use my lighter red since I'm on the highlight side. And bring that around. And remember, everything goes back towards that center. You can sort of do a little outline. And this comes up a little higher in here. And there's almost a little bit right in here, and almost a little blush here. Like I said, so you can outline a little bit, but then bring everything back into the center. And you can even leave some of the lines. That's fine. Let's just fade that edge out a little bit. And the same here. And of course, over here, I'm going to use this color, but then I'm going to go in my deeper reds. Since this is in shadow. And bring it up. And I'm going to just the littlest hint of purple. I mean, barely touching. Just giving it some of that deeper. And this is coming back in, thing into that center. Fuzz that edge out. And I'm going to actually leave some of them lines. And then here I'm going to, that deeper purple, actually I'm going to go back with my lighter reds. I'm going to actually leave some of the lines in here. Just kind of lightly smudging. And like I said, with those purples, I'm just a little bit in here, a little bit back here, where that dark, get some of that darker red. Bring that all back into the center. And then I'm going to clean my fingers a little bit. Right here with this, I'm going to bring some of that color in there, because this is more in shadow side. So I want a little darker than up there. In fact, I think I'll take a little darker yellow and darken it a little bit and add just a little more green to it to deepen that. And I'm going to round it nicely. Come in just right around here to separate this one from the one behind it. We're going to come back up here. Now here, I've got quite a bit of light up here. And that red is really popping. And then it comes around here. And here, there's a little bit over here, not too much. Just a little coming in towards there. And then I'm going to deepen this area here. My purples. Not too much here, but a little bit. And then my deeper reds. I don't want a purple apple. I'm using that basically to darken and give it a shadow. And then I'm going to take my yellows and kind of right here where they meet, kind of blend them. And I want to bring that apple right down to the other one. And I'm going to highlight that. And use a little yellow mixed with that, because I want it brighter. And then bring that straight into the center. All right, we've got our apples. Now we can work a little bit on the background. As I said, so we got a table here. And a good, let's see, we just need to decide what color we want to do in the background. Right here, so we can take, oh, let's do a, I'm gonna just kind of hold down with a pale blue. don't want a lot of detail. I just don't want a white, completely white background. And you can give your background any color you want. Just be careful it's not too close to the colors of your still life. And then I'm going up and down. And you can add as much color or as little color as you want. And then we got the table. Even if the table is white, you're going to have some reflected colors in it. So here, this apple is going to throw a shadow out here. So we can do a little bit of the purples. Depending on how your light is coming in. Keep those shadows pretty light. Use my paper towel. And see how you can blend them out. And then you can decide what color we want the table. You can do, if you want a wood table, some browns. And then just adding color. And I'm just rubbing my fingers against the color, adding it. This is just sort of a light tan or beige. Okay, now that we got that in, I'm wiping my hands. I can come in and deepen this. So, look at your subjects. There's lines that come through that apple. And the same here. I'm actually going to leave a lot of these lines in there. Come in with, where is my lighter color? Almost an orange. And just that hint of purple and where the shadows are. Now that I got that, I'm gonna lightly, I don't want the harsh lines, but I do want the lines to show. back with my yellows. Oops, where's my lighter yellow? And you can see how I'm pushing hard, and those yellows are actually leaving brighter lines. Actually going out into the reds. Let me get that line. We want that separation. And we need the separation here. All right. So we've got our apples. I'm gonna go in. Where's my brown? This has got to be a little deeper color. My green. Get a little stem. Back to my brown. There's the top of the stem and the shadow side. I'm actually taking the brown and kind of lightly outlining that a little. And I can even take my pencils in red and add a few lines in here. And if you need to lighten an area, take your paper towel, maybe right in here where the light is, and then lightly here where the brightest light hits. I'm gonna pull some out, and I'm gonna come in, and I'm pushing hard. There's a bright spot there, just kind of on the bottom of it, pull it in. Right here is almost a curved line where it's highlighted. And then there's a little one right here, right along here. And I think I rubbed that one out too much. I'm gonna come back in. There. So keep an eye where your highlights are. Now I'm just gonna come in and play with this a little. Sort of round that off a little bit. Stand back, look at it. Do you need more lines in there? A little more yellow maybe in here to give it a little more contrast between the two colors. Maybe here. Maybe a little darker. This is the lighter reds, but maybe define that outer edge a little more. You decide on how you want it to look. Get your mat, put your mat over top of it. How does it look? Maybe you need that background color a little darker over here. Maybe add some streaking in there. Maybe there's some type of wallpaper or something back there. You decide. This is your painting. You decide how you want it to look. And I think I'm going to sign this. Here's a good spot. And this is our still life in apples. I hope you enjoyed this one.